conduct the administration in this part. You all know you can go into these areas. The military cantonments are there, of course, because you have to understand the security is the number one. That immediately we can't. There are obviously we had this terrorism for 30 years, and immediately you can't take all the troops out of this area. And anyway, that we have to position these troops in Sri Lanka, that whether it is north, south, east, or west, we have to have camps in these areas. Where else do we have the camps? So obviously, the positioning of military camps is a different story. That actually the commander, will decide where are the more important places to have strategic locations to have cantonments. That nobody can object to that. We can't position our Sri Lankan military in some other country. No, we have to keep it in Sri Lanka. So northeast is also Sri Lanka. So we have obviously we will position. But what we had done was that handing over the day-to-day law and order issues, because there is no emergency now. So obviously the law and order is the responsibility of the police. So we have opened up more police stations. Even we have recruited people to the police from these north and east. We have always try to post people who can speak Tamil into these areas. We post Tamil officers into these areas. We teach Tamil to the police officers who are posted to these areas. So we do all that to to facilitate, to bring 100% normalcy to these areas.
So the issue of reports on missing persons, and there are allegations that there are people who sexually surrendered and have so many people and they are all missing. How this issue, this allegation has been?
No, that's a wrong allegation. Of course, you have to understand, when you say missing, the people don't realize that there was, in these areas, there were people whom the LTT recruited and they were fighting. They were fighting a war. Now, if you take the army alone, for the last 30 years, I think so, even today, we have about 3,000 missing people, because we couldn't find the bodies of our soldiers. So now similarly, you all know the situation was prevailing at that time. So when we were fighting, when they were fighting, obviously there are people who died in the battlefield, who killed in action. So the people has forgotten that part. The fact that the LTT recruited people into LTT, they were fighting with the armed forces. That is why you know that it's not like any other terrorism in India part. Certain parts of Sri Lanka was 100% dominated by the LTT before 2005. The areas of one, if you take, 100% controlled by the LTT. There was no case of military, going and arresting people. It to go into. That's why we had to do these operations, military operation, to go into. We put so many divisions into battle to go into these areas, because they were fighting. They were almost equally equipped. They had the artillery, they had the mortar, they had equivalent equipments like the military, which over the years which they have collected. So we had to fight. So nobody talks about these people, the terrorists who died in action. So for the parents, they are missing, because they were taken forcefully and they don't by the LTT, and they were put to fight. And when they died, and they don't know what had happened to these people. For the parents, it's missing. So, but you have to understand this issue. Where are the people who died in action? Now, according to to some of the people that nobody had died in action. So that can't happen. No, then how can why all these 30 years they were, how could they control this area? The army lost for the last 2.5 years, that from 2000, after the humanitarian operation starts, army lost nearly 6,000 soldiers, close to 5,800 people who died killed in action for these 2.5 years. And we had nearly 20,000 injured. So that's the intensity of the war. So then, if we had lost that much amount of soldiers, if we had suffered that much of casualties, what about the terrorists? They'll get it. Because they must lose more than that.
I'm asking about those said to have been handed over at the end of the war.
No, not a single person is missing from what from our registries, but handed over to us or surrendered to us. There was a procedure. This is another thing that we had, certain people have forgotten. Take the people who were coming from the sea. A lot of people came from the sea. Where did they go first? They went first to the Indian hospital. It was manned by the Indian Army. The hospital was manned by the Indian Army. They reported to them first, and from there only they came to the welfare camps. And everywhere when they surrendered, the ICRC was there, no? The UNHCR was there, ICRC was there. So there was a procedure registering these people. There was not a single person is missing from that list who had either surrendered to the army or who had registered with the military, where the other organizations were present.
You want relations, if the relations are to improve, you want to use a better approach. And you also quoted as saying that the immunity that they can hold against you is training. And what are your thoughts on that?
Training, I mean, when you compare to India, Pakistan, China, they are the main countries who give training. For example, we get about 2,800 forces from India, no? 1,000 odd forces from Pakistan, and China is increasing forces, and when it comes to higher level forces, we get a lot of, like National Defense College, we get more forces from China, and we send officers all over the world for this. But it's better for the US also to open this, give this opportunity to Sri Lanka. Then we will have senior officers at the command level who are trained in these countries. Otherwise, they will have only officers from trained in China, India, Pakistan.
So do you think that this visit, the coming visit, has something to do with the March session of the UNHRC?
No, this team was to come for the gold dialogue, actually. They were to come for the gold dialogue. Mr. Vikram, no? Vikram Singh. He was to come for that, but he didn't come. I don't know, they didn't give any reason. He couldn't come. So this is, now they postponed this visit, and now they have come.
You were saying that you would turn to China for more opportunities if the US were to stay down. Is that something that you're considering?
No, anyway we are getting vacancies from now. What I said was, if they stop, like what I explained, then it will be only from these countries. So that's what I said. That, if they don't give, the senior officers will be only going to China, India, and Pakistan.
answer.